Good afternoon. I formally call the meeting of the City of Gary Board of Zoning Appeals for Thursday, September 12th, 2024 to order. May I have the roll call, please?
President Bonds,
Absent.
Vice President Hawkins,
Here.
Reverend Jones,
Here.
Mr. Cook,
Present.
Mr. Fawcett.
Present.
Show 4 present, 1 absent.
We do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. We will omit the minutes from the last meeting at today's meeting. The next item is continued. Pardon? Okay. Let's get the agenda. Okay. What's your pleasure on the agenda?
I move that we pass the agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Vice President Hawkins,
Yes.
Reverend Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett.
Yes.
The agenda passes by 4-0 vote.
Okay. We'll begin with the continued items from our last meeting. Mr. Taggy, do you have an overview?
Good afternoon, Mr. President and the members of the board. The first petition is a continuous petition from 2 months ago. It's a petition of 2024-18. It's for establishment of a daycare center at daycare center on 10th and 10. I cannot even see it; it's too dark. But it is on West 10th at 2939 West 10th Avenue, Gary, Indiana. This petition is a deferral. It went through public hearing. You had 2 occasions of review. In fairness to the petitioner, one of the reasons that we denied or recommended denial of the petition was the neighborhood conditions. And in fairness to the petitioner, you asked us to go to the neighborhood and take some pictures and bring it for your review, and we did. As a part of your package, there is a neighborhood map, that block map that we have put in there, and it's on the bottom, and it also shows the buildings that are currently vacant and dilapidated on that whole block. And in fact, the block area, the 2 sides of that block, only has 3 houses. One of them is this daycare, and another one next to this daycare. And on the other side block, only 1 house exists. The condition of the block is primarily wooded as a result of the growth. Some of these pictures don't come that clean because of all the growth that are around there. What we have on the bottom picture, it shows the buildings that we have been able to take pictures on, and the rest of the block is vacant land, wooded, overgrown sort of wooded area. And then that's we seeing the condition of the block, and particularly the curb and sidewalk. There is no curb, but the condition of the street is just not, we feel, much stronger. That's not proper for this facility to be located there, especially for a facility that would be open from 6 a.m. to 12 o'clock at night. And we feel that that is not appropriate at all. One other item as a part of our visit was we noticed that there is a fairly active, nice, with fence yard daycare just half a block away off of 11th Avenue. So the market is, there is an active business that is there and can provide the services that the neighborhood may have.
Does the board have any questions?
These pictures this week,
Mr. Fawcett, make sure you turn
this
on your
week.
microphone.
Okay. Mr. President, I'm sorry, I wanted to speak. I spoke out of turn. I was just asking you, Jackie, when did they take these pictures? And you
This week,
told me, okay, thank you.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. President, and did you give your recommendation as unfavorable last time? Looked like it was unfavorable. You've taken the pictures and it is still unfavorable?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Which one of these pictures represents the house? I'm a little confused.
The first pictures, I'm going to go through the first picture, standing on the west side of the street. There is a church on this corner, and looking back, so on the far, there are two houses that you can see. One of those homes is the proposed daycare home. Across from that home is the next picture that you see. It is boarded up. And when you go on the other side of the block, on this bottom part of this larger picture, is you see the house that is almost burnt up and collapsing. That is on the other side of that house. The fifth picture on the bottom where there is a car mirrors there, that shows generally looking at north on the side that is fully wooded. And on the other side is the same, but on the west side of it, on the east side of it, that you see the dilapidated structure.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I just got one, Mr. President. May I speak? Jackie, so what we're seeing is most of the neighborhood is just gone, right?
The whole block, as I said, there are 3 houses there. The rest of the block is gone.
Okay, thank you.
Can you reiterate your basis for denial, please?
The primary basis was the neighborhood condition. We did have a concern about the operation of the facility from 6 in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, and considering again to the neighborhood. The house is it's a small house, and the petitioner indicated that she has 6 kids of her own, and she can also bring in up to 12 on a 2-bedroom house. And we felt that that is just not adequate. It's not fully fenced. There are some fence around it, and it just cannot be a protected area. And again, the street condition is not desirable at all. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Taggy. What's the board's pleasure?
Do we have someone speaking on behalf of this?
Yes, hi, my name is Betty Cummings, and I am at 2939 West 10th Avenue. I do have 6 kids as he speaks, but my kids are grown and they don't live with me. And in the neighborhood, it's more than 2 or 3 houses. A teacher lived next door to me, and the house that's behind the church is empty, but then it's like 3 or 4 other houses on the opposite side of the street from me. Now, the house that's next door is an older man that live in the house that barely can get around, and his house is farther to the left side of me, and it's pushed way to the back. Because, see, my house is sitting on 2 lots.
Mr. Chair, may I speak? I just got a question for you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Have the state came out and looked at your place?
No, the state can't come out until I get a license from the city.
Okay.
That's my holdup.
You say this is a 2-bedroom home?
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna have how many kids in there?
I have like 4 in the morning, 4 in the evening, and 4 at night.
Morning, noon, and night.
Yes, sir.
How many bathrooms you have?
It's 1 bathroom.
How many exits do you have to get out that house?
I have 2.
You have 2 exits?
Yes, sir.
Front and back, what's in the back?
What's in the backyard?
Yes, is it maintained or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
No, you don't have no pictures of it though, do you?
No, I don't, but it's maintained.
How long have you been at this home?
I moved there in March.
You moved there here in March?
March.
Did you remodel or you just moved in?
No, it was already remodeled.
It was already remodeled?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you say there's a guy next door on each side or just one side?
It's a lady, it's a young lady next door, which is a teacher, and it's an older man on my left side, but his house is like farther back, close to the alley.
Are they maintained?
Her house is, but his house is just dirt. He don't have grass or nothing. It's just,
Are the weeds cut? What, I mean, I'm trying to
nah,
get
he
some.
don't have any weeds.
What about in your yard?
Oh, my yard gets cut every week.
Do you live will you be living there or you will not be living there?
I live there,
You live there with
Yes.
your kids or no kids? Or?
just me. My kids is grown.
So it's just you there and you're going to be
Yes.
the only one for
Yes.
the daycare?
Yes,
So you're going to have 12 kids in there by yourself?
but they come at different times.
What about your kitchen? Is it clean, neat?
Of course.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm asking, ma'am. I've never been
I'm
there. I'm just
sorry. Yes,
asking you
sir.
a question,
Yes,
okay?
sir. The kitchen is clean.
And that's where you'll be preparing their meals. Do they get meals when they come there, or do they bring their own meals?
I prepare 3 meals for them and two snacks. So they get an AM breakfast, they get a PM lunch, they get a PM snack, and then they get dinner, and then they get a snack before bed.
Now, with this health stuff going on around, do you know they're allergic to anything, or you serving them peanuts or peanut
Yes,
butter?
peanuts,
I don't know.
yeah, the peanut
Do
allergy.
do you have
yeah.
sheets on that to let them know what you can't and can't have?
Yeah, I also took my I got a food handling license also.
Okay. You got fire extinguishers in this place?
Yes, sir.
How many?
I have 2.
Is
And
there a basement in there?
No, sir.
So it's on slab, okay.
Yes.
And you just got 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom.
Living room, dining room, kitchen.
Where would the kids be sleeping at?
In one of the bedrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, we're gonna vote on it, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. President, can I just also add this, that the petitioner is a tenant, there is a renting the house, not owning the house. she's renting the place.
Please go back to the microphone.
She's got to come back to the microphone just so that the audience can hear her.
You're renting the house.
Yes, sir.
So the people that own the house, have they gave you permission and wrote a letter saying that it's okay for you to do this?
Yes, sir.
Where's the letter at?
I turned it in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we're gonna make a recommendation. My recommendation is that we decline this.
Is that a motion?
It's a motion that we decline this daycare.
Have a motion to unfavorably respond to the petition?
Mr. Chair, I move that, well, I'm giving a second to it, and that we accept staff's recommendation to decline this based on his finding.
So just to clarify, the motion would be whether it's a favorable or an unfavorable recommendation.
It's unfavorable going along with the staff, what the staff is saying. It's unfavorable. And it's been second.
It's been moved and second that we recommend an unfavorable response to BZA 2024-18. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Reverend Jones? Correct. Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
So we'll show by a vote of 4 as an unfavorable recommendation.
Thank you. Moving on in the agenda, we will open the public hearing section. We'll start with BZA 2024-22. Mr. Tagg?
Yes, I always forget. I'm sorry. The petition 2024-22 is a petition for establishment of a motor sales establishment on 3539 Broadway. And in your handout, it may be a different address because they do own several lots as a part of this this development. The petitioner is Gilcidia Flores Montano. Is that right? Is that Montano? Yes. In the petitioner is here, Mr. Chairman, and the area that is being proposed was formerly another vehicle-related type of establishment that was that the petitioner has purchased and is in the process of renovating. The establishment is going to be as I said, a vehicle sales place, and we have met with the petitioner, and we understand that the petitioner is in the process of completing his renovation, and we have not had a chance for additional conversations with them due to that urgency that they have expressed. And so for that reason, we have found that the petition and that use for that site to be appropriate, similar to other areas, but its location could use some improvements. For that reason, our recommendation is favorable with the agreement from the petitioner to provide us with a full site and landscape plan and for our review at a later date. And I do want to welcome the petitioner on behalf of the city as a new business to the city of Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Taggy.
Good
Please
afternoon.
state your name.
Eric Loyola. Am I the owner? Yeah, I'm the owner for. Okay, so I'm the owner for Loyola Automotive Group in Gary. So this is a family-owned business. So it all started, with my parents, Griselda and Arturo. They had a car sales lot in Illinois. I started, sales. I opened up a location in Valparaiso about 2 years ago. That one's also named Loyola Automotive Group. So this would be the second location. We have, we're a hardworking family. We're an honest family. We have really great reviews in our Valparaiso location. Customers love, how we serve, the community and stuff. We want to open up in Gary. We saw an opportunity in Gary, and, we would love to have our business in Gary. We think that Gary's a up-and-coming community, and I think that it's a really good place to not only make an investment, but to start a business. We bought the place about 9 months ago. We put some pretty good amount of money into it. We repainted the walls. It looks really nice according to the pictures. So yeah, it's definitely a place that we want to, serve the community, be able to provide, amazing deals for the customers, and be able to have an operation going on so we could, further grow our business into other locations as well.
Good afternoon, young man. A question, how many vehicles are you proposing to keep on your lot?
So our lot fits about 100 cars. We don't want it to look too messy, so we're planning on having about 50 cars, just so the lot doesn't look, all bunched up. We want it to be nice and spread out. Yeah, so we have our own mechanics. So I don't work on the cars myself. I'm mostly in charge of, buying the cars. So we have I guess you can say a reconditioning team. So right now we currently have a reconditioning team over in Illinois, but we definitely want to move it over here just because it's much better place. I feel like Indiana's a much better place to do business in. So we have a reconditioning team. They're in charge of repairs and all that.
All right, well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Do you have a structure on that property?
I'm sorry, structure?
Yes.
What do you mean by structure?
By your offices or?
Yeah. So there's pictures included in the package of the.
One more, please. Go, two more. There it is. Yeah.
Okay, is that where you'll be repairing your cars too?
Yeah, when we say repair, it's mostly maintenance because
Yeah.
we really want to have something that looks nice, because customers come in, they want to see a nice place, so we don't want to have we don't want the last thing we want to have is people come in and say, oh, look at that car, it's got a missing fender or something. So we try to, when I say a reconditioning team, brakes, just maintenance on cars and stuff like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you access the business from Broadway or 36?
From Broadway. So you say like the entrance? Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah. So I mean, the business on Broadway, you have to go into the street, and there's our parking. Well, we are gonna have our parking spots along, on the street, so you could access the building through the side.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, our business is on Broadway. But obviously we don't. We want to have the place looking nice, so we want to have parking on the side. So we have kind of like I guess you can say like a parking space inside, in the front of the building. So that's where we're gonna have the entrance. Yeah, so we have a front door and everything.
Was this formerly a car lot?
So from my knowledge, before we
Yeah.
took possession of it, this was they did it for body repairs, body shop repairs, for like insurance companies and stuff like that. This, however, I think before that it was an auto sales place before the body repair. I think it was called Best Value Auto Sales. Will I be open in wintertime? Yeah, year round. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we're able to open this winter, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we definitely want to make it look nice. Yeah, thank you.
Is there a left turn lane on Broadway in front of your business?
Turn lane to, exit, to go out through Broadway?
To turn
Yes.
left, going
Yes.
south? Can
Yeah,
you turn left
yeah.
into the, is
Yeah,
there a
so
turn
four-way.
lane?
So when you say turn lane, do you mean like,
A dedicated turn lane?
oh, yeah. Oh, a light?
No, a dedicated turn lane.
Oh, yeah.
So you get out of mainstream traffic, wait till the traffic clears and turn left.
Yes.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
If the board has no other questions, we'll open it up for public hearing. Is there anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-22? Is there anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-22? Last call. Anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-22? Hearing none, the public portion is closed. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
My pleasure is I move to move forward with this and approve it based on the staff's recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept staff recommendation of a favorable opinion. Roll call, please. Yes.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes.
All right. By a vote of 4 in favor, none against, will show that it's a favorable recommendation for the special use permit at 3595 Broadway.
Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is BZA 2024-23.
Mr. President, petition 2024-23 is a petition for redevelopment, renovation, adaptive reuse, as well as a mixed-use development of a former Palace Theater and adjoining block. The petition that you have, the documents that you have, actually, because of the two separate block being involved, And the petition, you actually have two separate petitions in front of you. For that reason, as I describe, basically whatever I said applies to both petitions. I don't know if it is appropriate, and the council can certainly make an opinion, that we submit or we discuss both petitions at the same time and then make a decision in the final two separate decisions. But our presentation would involve both.
Yes, we can discuss them as long as the final vote is for each separate petition and there's a vote of record on each one.
Right, great, thank you. Petition is, as I mentioned, is for development of the former Palace Theater for a mixed-use development that is a retail and neighborhood use, community use development on the first floor, as well as 32 housing units on above. And the petitioner is also proposing to build another 5-story structure on the Massachusetts side, which will involve 143 units with 4 floors of residential plus a parking garage on the first floor. The petition has been working on this project for a number of months. The city is actually a partner for this development. The city owns not only the theater, but also additional land on the Massachusetts side that the city is planning to sell to the developer. And Mr. Harris is here, and he can certainly answer any questions that you may have on that part. What the petitioner needs is, this is a little bit complicated, so I want you to bear with me in terms of the overall development and the issues that we are facing. Basically, the petitioner needs a series of what's called the development standard variances for each one of these 2 parcels of development. And to make this clear, we have, as a part of your package, we have provided a matrix, and I'd like to direct your attention to those. There are 3 pages of that matrix and shows specifically what they are requesting for these development standard variants. And if you don't mind, I think at the back of your our report, you will see next page, I think. Yeah, you have it, I think. No, next page, Mr. Hawkins. It should be this. Yes. And you will see what specifically what they are asking and what is being permitted. A good example, for example, is the code requires 30-foot setback, and they're providing 0. And that's one of their requests. There is development size. The code requires a specific size or area of a housing unit for each business district. And as a part of their financing, they're going through Indiana Housing Development Authority, which funds partially the development. They have their own regulations that says for an affordable house, there is this much a square foot is maximum you can provide. So they're guided by those guidelines. They're forced by those guidelines to abide. And for that reason, because they are affordable housing and the segment that is affordable housing, I should say, they are a little bit less than what the ordinance requires. And you can see in this case, for example, is a dwelling unit may, for a two-bedroom unit, may require 1,200 or 1,000 square feet. They are providing 850. And so those guidelines are primarily set by HUD and at the national level that the state, which is the financing agency, goes there. So that constitutes part of their development variance that they are requesting. Parking, they are asking two things for parking. One is the number of parking that is needed or that is required, as well as the size of those parking slots. The ordinance requires a 20-foot parking slot. They're providing 18-foot long-wise because they're providing it in a garage. And so that is one of those items that they're asking. Some of that parking also relates to the retail district or retail activities that they are putting in. And so for that reason, they are providing less parking spots. We can, there are, as I said, there are 3 pages of these that they all share the same sort of types of development standard that they're required to sort of change or request some modification of it. Outside that, they basically do not have any other requirements as far as the code is concerned. And the project, as far as we know, is in good shape for financing. And they have to submit their application by September 27 of this month. And if they don't, then they basically have to reapply next year and submit that again. That is a sort of brief synopsis of the development. I know the attorney is here, and also Mr. Harris is here, redevelopment director. He can provide you additional information, and I will make my recommendation after you have a chance to ask other questions, unless you have questions for me.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
On the parking side, how many spaces are designated for the living quarters, and then how many spaces are designated for the businesses?
You just let me, I have some information for the, we have a 32 parking, 32 units and 145 units. The total count for is 45 on one side, 144 on the other side. $54 and $144. So it'll be 148, 198 total. Did I answer your question?
No.
No?
But I'm looking at the, on the restaurant. Okay, you got retail and restaurant. On the retail, there's 0 on-site parking, and then on the restaurant, the cities provide lot arrangements and valet.
That is, I think Mr. Harris can answer that, but I do want to bring to your attention that downtown section, there is no requirement for parking.
Any other questions?
I need to, I didn't catch your recommendation as staff.
We have not provided it, Reverend, yet. We thought that you may want to hear from the other folks, and then we'll provide our recommendation.
10-4.
Okay, thank you. You want to say something?
Good evening, Commissioners. So I wanted to give more context to this project. So the Palace Theater project, I want to make sure you hear me. So the Palace Theater project that's before you is a catalytic development opportunity on 8th and Broadway. When it comes to the parking question that was asked, we understand we also own the Sears parking lot immediately south on 8th Avenue. We are evaluating the integrity of the Gordon department store and whether or not that will be demolished via Senate Bill 434 with our blight elimination funds. If that structure is found to not be structurally intact, the intent is to demolish that structure and offer that opportunity for parking to help serve both the entertainment and retail and restaurant space on the ground level along 8th Avenue and Broadway for this mixed-use development. Also understand, too, that this project, we had a planning charrette about 4 weeks ago at 504 Broadway, and it was a great opportunity to really engage with the public and understanding what the public wants in downtown. We asked the members of the public what buildings resonate with them the most when it comes to downtown Gary. So outside of City Hall, Palace Theater was second when it comes to both the memories and the aesthetic of what people remember of downtown. So that's why this project is so important to us in finding an opportunity to utilize the land and the street parking that we do have along Broadway. I understand that we have the loft attic immediately across the street from the Palace Theater, but the intent is to really create some vibrancy and life in the evening at this intersection. And as we begin to grow into downtown with more development opportunities, we'll be able to handle parking collectively when we start getting the tax base back in order. Also understand, too, that this project is going to be catalytic to encouraging the investment community to follow suit. People are watching the city. There are other developers that are interested in downtown Gary as well. But we want to make sure that we jump in with the opportunity with this project, understanding that we do own property immediately south of this site, which is the former Sears Gordon department store. And then we have Massachusetts Street, which also has an opportunity to offer parking along with Broadway. One thing that we really don't want to get ourselves into that the Notre Dame School of Architecture had recommended about planning downtown Gary is that we don't want to plan too heavy on vehicles, because what we'll find is that we'll have a downtown that's pretty much a surface parking lot. We really want to encourage walkability, right? We have Broadway, we have the rapid bus transit on via the GPTC. We want to encourage more people to live, work, and play and be able to walk amongst those areas as opposed to driving. We're trying to get away from the driving destination. We want people to live and stay and experience downtown Gary. Now, if they do drive, great, but public transportation would be recommended as downtown Gary grows. So we just want to make sure we don't monopolize our development opportunity along Broadway with adding significant swaths of parking. A lot of cities are getting away from that, and they understand that that's not valuable to their tax base. So we just want to be mindful of that. But if there are any other questions specifically for me about the project, I'm more than happy to answer. So the team is developing their capital stack, but the intention is to get moving second quarter of 2025. But I'll defer to team if I'm out of line. But that would be the intent, is start second quarter of 2025. We also intended to demolish the movie house structure as a part of Senate Bill 434. So when it comes to activity, we'd be able to start that sooner than later to allow this development to occur.
To save any parts of that building, like you say, it's full of memories for me. And I'd like to know, if in fact any parts of the building would be saved and maybe put incorporated in a new structure, as it has been done in the past in buildings and situations like that.
Good question. Good question. So I want to make sure both yourself and the commissioners, and as well as the public, understands that this development opportunity is really salvaging what we call, it's like an L shape. There are two structures associated with the Palace Theater. What we see on Broadway and 8th Avenue make an L shape. And then behind the L shape, you have the movie house. So the intention is to demolish the movie house and then adaptively reuse what we see as the Palace Theater along Broadway and 8th Avenue. So we still have that we have that memory of the building, but it will be adaptively reused. So it won't be completely demolished. The intent is to be able to salvage the L shape along Broadway and 8th Avenue and then develop behind it and develop the lofts on Massachusetts Street.
When would renderings of what you're proposing be available to look at? Just curious, I'm interested.
Sure. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we had a couple renderings on our website, but I'd be happy to share more detailed renderings from the team with this body.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Yep.
You say that they're going to looking at the possibility of tearing down that old Gordon's building.
Potentially, yes.
And then Sears building will be salvageable, I don't know.
Yes, correct.
And then we'll use the parking lots from. Now, I just got one other question. When
Yes.
we built this baseball stadium, they had parking lots that they leased out. None of those are, I don't know if you know about that.
What?
But when they built the baseball stadium,
Mm-hmm.
they leased out parking lots. One is across the street from the ballpark, and one I think is down there by the Sears building. And I was just wondering, did y'all ever find anything else about that? Because it was a 10-year lease, 10 or 15-year lease on those.
Got it. To my knowledge, I just know that those properties are owned by the Gary Redevelopment Commission, immediately west of the baseball stadium and east of the baseball stadium, and then the properties south of the baseball stadium, south of Fifth Avenue, they belong to the city of Gary. And I know immediately, like the apartment buildings along Connecticut Street, I understand that we did lease out some of those spaces for the individuals that lived on that block, but I don't know the outcome of that lease. I think it's just generally expired. But that's a part of our lease agreement with the Railcats to be able to use that. Yep, no problem.
Are there any other questions of Mr. Harris?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, commissioners.
As I mentioned, Mr. President, the petitioner is here, and I'd like to invite him to provide a brief to you, if you don't mind.
Hello, I'm Mark Anderson on behalf of the petitioners Palace Lofts LLC and Palace Theater LLC. May I approach to provide you with some drawings that you were requesting? So a lot has been said with respect to this project, so we're happy to answer any additional questions that you have. Mr. Ashami and Mr. Harris, I think, did a great job of explaining in detail what the plan is with respect to both petitions that we have. One for the property located along Massachusetts, and that'd be the Palace Lofts LLC petition, and then the other for the Palace Theater LLC application, which deals with the property along Broadway.
I just got one question. You keeping the facade of the building for the L shape and then tearing the rest in the back down, right?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I've been in that building. I see how it look now. What about the property that's next to it? I forgot the name of that store. Kresge's or something. You're going to assume that and tear it down, or you had no plans for that? Or maybe I should have asked that for Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris? Yeah, I should have asked him that question. The building right next door
Sure,
to the palace.
the Broadway shopping mall.
Right.
Yeah. That's my area, the Broadway shopping mall. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so right now the intent is that that building will be potentially adapted for reuse, but it's more so the space behind on Massachusetts Street. That whole block will be developed, hopefully contiguous with the parcel that the Gary Redevelopment Commission owns, and the owners of the Broadway shopping mall.
Are you guys going to acquire it and get rid of it, or are we going to try and build something with that? Because it would look terrible if they built this nice facility here and that building is.
All right. So right now, again, that building, the Broadway shopping mall. So here, initially the project was proposed was 235 units, but also financing and developing the capital stack, applying to ICTA development team, scale back their efforts just a bit. Originally, the original plans included demolishing the Broadway shopping mall, right, and developing on that particular lot. But as the capital stack was compiled, it was deemed that that site would remain, that building would remain and be adapted or reused in the future. But really developing the palace itself and behind the palace on Massachusetts Street. So right now, the Broadway shopping mall structure will remain, but will be adapted or reused in the future. Okay. Yep. No, good question.
Are there any other questions? With there being no other questions,
I'm just here to respond to questions, yes.
what is your pleasure for BZA 2024-23?
Mr. Chair, I move for passage.
Oh,
I'll
public
second.
hearing. Public hearing. Gotta have the public hearing, sorry. Is there anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-23? Is there anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-23? Is there anyone interested in speaking in favor or against BZA 2024-23? Hearing none, the public hearing portion is closed. Now you can proceed.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move for passage 2024-23.
I'll second that motion.
If I could just clarify, if you make a motion that you're in favor of the developmental standard variance for petition 2024-23. Is that the motion?
Yes, that's the motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we gonna do that one too?
For that first petition.
Go right ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Broadway Loft project is a multi-purpose, multi-year, multi-phase development consistent of renovation and adaptive reuse of a former Palace Theater. And in addition to development of a new housing on the next block on Massachusetts Street. In the first phase of the former theater building, the theater building will be renovated on the first phase and with a mixed-use development. It consists of 32 units of housing, which will be market rate housing, not affordable housing. It will be market, it is assigned as market rate. And it will, on the second part or second phase, the development will be an affordable housing and consists of 143 affordable housing units. The total development consists of about 160,200 square feet and in two separate buildings. The proposed development is very much supportive of what the concept for the downtown has been. Mr. Harris mentioned about the charrette, and the city actually made an extraordinary effort a couple months ago with doing this charrette to come up with a reuse of the buildings as well as development of new. So this project does support that idea of development. Nonetheless, it is the ordinance requires that staff and you in part must meet certain objective or certain standard. Number one is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The other standard is the use and value of the area that is subject to this development will not include or hurt surrounding community. And the third is a strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties for the development. Based on these conditions, and the staff finds that these are the variances that are requested are reasonable, and staff recommends favorable. However, the staff does have a concern because of the funding sources for this development. There is a likelihood, albeit it's very small, and that the development may not go through. And for that reason, we are proposing two conditions for the development, and the petitioner indicated that they do have plans, but we have seen in other cases that these things do happen. We would not like to see this development, particularly in light of the fact that the city has recently done the charrette, and we have not seen the results of that. We want to leave the city open to change its mind at a later date if this development is not funded or is not approved. So those conditions are that the petitioner will agree to initiate and complete all pre-development, pre-construction work within 1 year from the date of approval of the funding, and then the second condition would be that if the funding is not approved by the state, then this all of these development standard variants will revert back to the original. Thank you.
Then it is, the petitioner would agree to the pre-development and construction, pre-construction, against construction within 1 year of receiving funding. And then the second would be, if they don't receive funding, then it would revert back to code. What's the time frame for receiving funding?
The same year.
So within the same year. So it's all within 1 year of basically the funding time, or is it 1 year from the time?
Approval of the section 42, section 42 tax.
Okay. Hold on one moment, please.
Just so I'm clear, Mr. Shami, so on that second condition, understood that it's conditioned on the funding, that you're recommending it be conditioned on the funding, but if funding is not approved within, do you have a certain time frame?
If it is not approved, they normally announce within 45 days of application.
So would that be funding is, if they don't receive approval by the end of the year, then?
I believe so. I believe it is 45 days from the time that they have been given to submit this addition. They've already submitted their application. There are some additional documents that they have to submit.
Right, you mentioned the September 27th date somebody
September
did?
27 is the deadline for them. And those documents also include a zoning clearance or zoning variance clearance. And so that is one of those documents that they need to finalize. And my understanding is within 45 days after that, they should receive funding or announcement of the funding or approval of the funding.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Yeah, Mark, if you could speak to that, when you would know if it's approved or not approved, essentially.
Okay, so do we know when it would be approved if we filed in September?
Well,
Would you want to come up? Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Hobbs, President and CEO of BWI. So to answer the question on the approval, there's multiple kind of funding sources. We'll hear about the very first one here in November, end of November of this year. You know, there's other sources of funding too that kind of comes with that, with the closing of the final closing of the project. And that's where we would respectfully request 18 months as opposed to the 12 months that was proposed, if that's okay.
Again, as a clarification, so you would hear within 30 days from the state if this has been approved for low-income housing tax credits?
For the tax credits, yes, sir.
And then if you did not get that approval, would that pretty much kill the deal anyway in your eyes?
I wouldn't say kill the deal. We would look to reapply again the following year. It's a one-year submission at the end of July, and they announce it in November.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So the 18 months gives us time to kind of regroup if necessary.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, I believe the board is asking, are you then asking for a straight 18-month period to have everything? Was that for funding or for pre-planning, pre-construction, construction within 18 months?
Yeah, the way I understood his recommendation was instead of the 12 months to kind of revert back to the initial standards, if we would have the 18 months. So that would be for the funding and the closing. It's, in other words, it's the start of construction. Because we would know something, you know, hopefully, I mean, the best case scenario, we'll find out in November, be able to start here in second quarter of 2025. That's our best case scenario, and we feel pretty confident with that piece. If for some reason it does not get accepted, then we would reapply. We would want that additional time to go ahead and get through revised planning if necessary, and resubmit. So that would be the request, if possible, you know.
Mr. President, the concern here is that we don't have a piece of land sitting there for an additional 18 months without any actions. And we have seen a case of it in the city of Gary that the project didn't go through and it sat there and ended up being demolished. Nonetheless, we think we would not have any objections to 18 months. And you do have that option of extending beyond that, but 18 months would be fine. And I would feel a little bit more comfortable if you could consider that they do make perhaps some report to you after a year where they are, and or every 6 months to make sure that that the site and the development doesn't stay dormant for another year. The short
Jack-
answer, we don't have any objections to 18 months.
And can you write that
Can I?
recommendation so that we can have it for the record?
Yeah, for the record is, the recommendation would indicated that the developer must agree to go through the pre-development, pre-construction activities, land acquisition, everything else that is related to the project for within 18 months from today, and then that if that has not been done, then this agreement or this petition will be reverted back to the original.
So your recommendation is that we
That's correct.
substitute the 12 months with 18 months
That's
for
correct.
conditions 1 and 2?
That's correct.
Now you're only saying one condition, correct? Or you're saying
No,
still?
no, both, still both conditions.
I apologize. I just want to make sure we have it correct because I'm still confused. We're saying 18 months. Petitioner will complete all pre-development, pre-construction, land acquisition within 18 months from today,
That's
right?
correct.
And then condition 2, I mean, all those things can't happen without them getting the funding approved beforehand, I would assume anyway.
Well, the petitioner indicated that they are looking for some other funding sources. We are not necessarily wedded to the low-income housing tax credit. That's up to them. But if they don't provide that, then the land and the buildings will revert back to the original condition.
Sure. And certainly it's up to the board. I guess my concern along with what you were saying is there should be some indication along the way. If we know it's not going to happen, but we only have a condition that's 18 months, we still have to wait the 18 months. If we know that the project is going to get the plug pulled on it, then we don't want to tie up land.
That
because
is a
of that.
concern, yes. We don't want to tie the hands of, particularly tie the hands of the redevelopment commission if they don't make any progress in their efforts. The conditions that as it is with the change of the 18 months from 12 to 18 months does not ask them to submit reports or to ensure progress. It just gives them a certain amount of time as a deadline to carry out their activities, pre-development activities.
I thought some of what you said called for them to give a report after a period of time. You recommend that they give
Yeah,
this board a status.
Right. I said you do have that right to request from them as a part of, perhaps if you would like me to revise my recommendation, that you do receive some type of periodic report or progress report from the developer.
Yes, I'm asking that you include that as a part of your recommendation so that we can move forward.
I also want to add that in the purchase agreement for the property, we do have progress reports required for this team for development. So we will understand the status of this project along the way. And I'll be happy to share the copy of the purchase agreement with the team that we will be monitoring the progress. And again, it's the intent to be able to close this property, to start construction on this property by second quarter of 2025. But the developer wanted to ensure that we had an opportunity to get through zoning, because without zoning, they can't submit their application completely for the tax credits. So that's why we haven't really closed. Even though we've been able to dispose of the Palace Theater site, we're working on the Massachusetts Street site. But the intention is that either way, in an effort to welcome development that we want, here in downtown Gary in the 21st century, we're going to have to cross this bridge about these zoning recommendations with future developers, not just this particular developer here for the Palace Theater site. So understand we will have monitoring in progress that we'll be happy to share with the BZA, but that is a part of the purchase agreement with this development team.
Thank you, but we would want that included in his recommendation.
Okay, let's redo it again. We're making recommendations subject to the three conditions. If now, number one, condition that the developer will complete and take efforts to complete all pre-development, pre-construction financing within 18 months from today, the day of approval. Number two is if the developer does not go through the development for whatever reason, this petition will be null and void and it will revert back to the original. The third condition would be that the developer make good faith effort to provide on a 6-month basis or as the redevelopment contract stipulates to make at least every 6 months progress report to you for the condition and development process of this building. Did it meet your comment? Okay, great.
I just want to make one thing, I want to understand one thing. The timeline is 18 months from September right now?
It'll be March of, yes, that's correct. It'll be March of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taggy. What is your pleasure?
Good evening, gentlemen. As you well know, this just didn't start yesterday. We've been meeting. My name is Stephen Mays. I'm the president of the Lake Michigan CDC. I'm a partner with BWI on the Palace project. This project just did not start yesterday. We are fully committed. We want to get this done. But it takes time. It takes time to sell tax credits. It takes time to fill out applications. Had this process been had been moved faster, we'd have been farther down the line with the last application round. This is time sensitive. It's going to be changes in administrations. It's going to be new governors and everything else. We critically need to move fast on this. Our commitment and our plans was second quarter of 2025. So we're here. We're not going nowhere, but we need to support. We do need to get this zoning, and we have no problems with communicating. We work very closely with the city. We work very closely with redevelopment, and we will work very closely with you guys. But we want to be able to do business. And then a lot of people are watching our project. A lot of investors are watching our project that are making critical decisions about investing in downtown Gary. We're at the south end of the TOD, and we want this to be very successful. We want to enlist your support and help, and we just want to move forward on this. Thank you for your time.
Don't leave, Mr. Mays. I have a question, Mr. President. Excuse me. My question is the 18-month window feasible with what you're trying to do?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mark Anderson, the only thing I just want to clarify is it's the 18 months for the pre-development aspects. We're not expecting to complete all the phases within that 18-month period, just for clarification. Thank you. Good.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get I have the 18-month window, I have the good faith effort. I didn't get number 2, and I'm recording the minutes, so we'll know.
And number 2 is the reversion of your action, going back to the
No
original.
action.
No,
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, some housekeeping. We jumped a little bit ahead of ourselves, and we had actually made a motion. There was no vote taken on that motion, but I believe Mr. Fawcett made a motion to approve the developmental standards. So I'll ask that you withdraw that motion, and that you make another motion. And because it's kind of convoluted, I believe you can make that motion, but it'd be something along the lines of a motion to approve the developmental standard variance requested by petitioner in BZA 2024-23 with 3 conditions. 1, that the developer will complete all pre-development and pre-construction phases by March 12th, 2026. 2, if the developer does not complete all pre-development and pre-construction phases during that time frame, the developmental standards will revert to the previous standards. And 3, the developer will provide progress reports to the BZA periodically, at least every 6 months. Well, we have to do them separate, but that one right now is 23, and then we're going to have basically the same for 24, I believe.
Okay, I make my motion that we withdraw that motion that I said. Now I'll make a new motion that we are a motion to approve the developmental standards of the 3 phases that we have in place right now on the 3 conditions. Is that
And those 3 conditions would be developer will complete all pre-development and pre-construction by March 12, 2026. If developer does not complete during that time frame, the developmental standards will revert to the previous standards. And 3, the developer will provide progress reports to the BZA periodically, at least every 6 months.
I'd like to second it, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved and second that we accept the motion for the developmental standard variance for 2024-23. Roll call, please. Subject to all 3 conditions.
Okay. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Reverend Jones? Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett?
yes?
Okay, by a vote of 4 in favor, none against, we'll show the developmental standards voted approved with the conditions stated.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, now we'll go through the exact same exercise for BZA 2024-24. What is your pleasure? It's identical to 23. I will accept a motion from the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the developmental standard variance as listed by our staff with the conditions outlined, and that we do approve it.
I don't think did we open that up for public
Yeah,
hearing?
we did
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
open
we need
it
to
up,
open,
and,
yeah. Right, so we've done 24, 23, correct, that's done.
Right.
Now, and although it's the same information, we still have to open up 2024-24 for public comment, so we'll ask if anyone is here to present on that.
Is there anyone in the audience interested in speaking for or against the BZA 2024-24? Is there anyone in the audience interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-24? Is anyone interested in speaking for or against BZA 2024-24? Hearing none, the public hearing portion is closed.
Mr. President, if you don't mind to hear me again, just for the sake of benefit of the petitioner, I'd like to read these three statements. These are statutory requirements, and that approval of this petition will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The use and value of the number two, the use and value of the adjoining properties will not be impacted by this development, and the strict application of the terms of zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulty in for the use of this property. And with that, we are recommending approval of this petition subject to three conditions, and those conditions, as was stated earlier, one is that the petitioner make good faith effort to implement this project within and go through the pre-development, pre-construction, and other regulatory and financing requirements within 18 months from today. And the second condition is that the petitioner will provide you with a periodic progress report at least every 6 months showing the progress on the project. And third is that in the event that this project doesn't go through the petition or this development standard reverts to the current conditions.
Your recommendation is
Favorable.
favorable with
Yes.
changes.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve the developmental standard variance request for BZA 2024-24 with those stipulations outlined by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the developmental standard variance for BZA 2024-24, subject to all the conditions. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I apologize, I did not, who wrote down, who was the first motion on that? Who made the motion? Mr. Cook? Okay. Mr. Cook did, and then Mr. Jones second, right? Sorry, I was,
This one, Jones second.
Yes.
The one before, it was by Commissioner Fawcett and Bill Cook second.
right, exactly, yes. Okay, I apologize about that. Okay, back on roll call for 2024, Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Reverend Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Fawcett.
Yes.
All right, by a vote of 4 in favor and none against, the developmental standards subject to the stated conditions for BZA 2024-24 have been approved.
Thank you. That concludes the business of the City of Gary Board of Zoning Appeals for Thursday, September 12th, 2024. We consider ourselves adjourned.